Now we're going to talk about hydrangeas. Now the one thing you want to do is cut off all the old flowers. Number one thing to do. Now there are two types of hydrangeas. The normal kind that people have is one that you would cut back close to the ground because it grows flowers on new wood, new shoots that come up this year. A few years ago they came out with this Everblooming or endless summer variety of hydrangea, and that's what this is. And the difference between the two is that this one blooms on old wood and new wood. So if you cut it back close to the ground, you would limit your flower production tremendously. Now, you still have to take out dead wood. Now the first thing I would do is come around and take off all these flowers, just get them out of my way, and I could see what I'm doing. But then the only time you would remove wood on one that blooms on old wood and new wood, my wife is, Brad is working the camera, and she's looking at the screen on it and it goes off. And so I had to show her that you have to just touch the screen to make it come back on. So, but when you've got an endless summer like this, and see, you can look down in here and there's no shoots growing on it. Now if there was a shoot coming out right here, you would cut above it. But since there's nothing growing on this shoot, you cut it out. And see, it's dead. There's no moisture there. It's dead. Now if you're unsure of what you're doing, cut it up here. See, it's dead. And this just move down the stem rather than cut it off at the bottom and then you maybe cut off some that were still alive. And since this blooms on old and new wood, you can see that one right there. It's coming out of there and it's coming out of there. And this is probably dead. Now those buds would have swollen.
I can't see. I've touched it.
She said she touched the screen but it didn't come on. But see, I can cut right there and you can see it's dead. And then I can cut down there. And then that will grow and this will grow. And there's a little edge one down there that's dead. Now this one's the same way. But see, this is all dead because it would have come out by now. And I try to cut them on a bit of an angle, but see, that's dead wood. And this one here, now these are really old canes. Now see, that one's coming out right there. And you'll see some growth on the edge, but anything that's totally dead to the base, just go in there and take it out. And all these, you just clean up. Now you can cut that little piece off, you can cut that piece off, and this probably just broke when I was bumping into it. And that one is dead all the way to the inside of the plant. And you just keep doing it till it's done. See, that one might still come out. I'm sure it will. And this one looks pretty dead, but see, you can go down it. You can also look at the color of the bark. You can tell that that's dead. That might come out, but it should have already come out. But it's going to come out from the bottom first and then come up as the energy supplies moisture to make this thing start growing. I don't want to nip the flower. So anyway, there's another one that's, see, when you come down here, it's got a side shoot on it. So you don't want to cut that whole thing off at the bottom. And that one, see, there's nothing going on that one. And there's no point leaving them in there because it's not going to do anything. You're not going to grow anything. And by cutting all these out, you're letting more light. And it'll start sending up new shoots, which will produce flowers for several years. And it looks like you're butchering it up, but you're not really doing anything like that. And see, here's another one that's dead, and you go all the way back to where there's nothing growing. And see, this one is growing here with nothing up here. A little slight angle so water won't sit on it. Well, with spring comes winds, and we got a breezy day again today. It's usually that way in the spring until it settles down and changes seasons. And that one's all done. If you find that you've got a tip that's going bad, but see that one is still got green on it, so it's going to come out. And a lot of times you'll see them in the fork, and that's the dead one from last year. And this one's cut back. It looks horrendous, but we'll get new growth from the bottom up. That's one little tiny spent flower. Trying to see the fork deals because I cut several over here that were in forks right there. See, that's last year's and it died. And then this will let more light in and everything. And dead growth doesn't do any good.